Hello, my friends. We're back with another video. I am your local art witch, and today I wanted to talk about a very classic deck, the Rider Tarot deck. So I was thinking about what I would recommend for somebody's very, very first deck, and many decks will be based on the Rider Waite system. So while I wouldn't say you need to have this exact deck, it is a good reference deck, but if you're short on cash and you're getting a deck, I would suggest something that's Rider-esque. So let's look through this deck, and this would be basically what you would be looking for, in my opinion. That would be a good way to start. So I got these on Amazon quite a while ago, and it's funny because I already had a few tarot decks and I was reluctant to buy the standard deck because the artwork is good. It's just, it didn't vibe with me. And if I was going to spend money, as you can see, I've had this for a while and it's kind of falling apart. But, you know, it's important to have a deck that you're excited to use. And this was not, I feel so mean, but this was not something I was excited to use. But it has become a fantastic learning reference type deck. So when it came from Amazon, it came in this tuck box that was in much better condition back then. And this does come with the little white book. Just very simple, just like little blurbs. I like both the in-depth books that give you almost too much information, but I also like these blurbs because I feel like you could use your intuition a little bit more. It's just like some prompts. Now, this deck has been, I tried to modify it a little bit. You just use a Sharpie. And I'm not in love, but I don't hate it. Like, I tried. I think I'll go back over them. This is what the backs look like. I like that they're, like, if you're in secret, if you can't be out, this is very, you can't really tell what this is for. Of course, this is what's going to give you away. So I bought, what deck was it? Like, I wanted the more vibrant colors if I was going to have this deck. So some of them are, you can get them like in holographic. You can get more, I don't want to say dull, but like, you know, not the neon colors. So, you know, it's got the standard look of what many decks are based on nowadays. So I believe, yes, I did. I believe that these are all in order. This is not a frequently used deck. I have the Modern Witch Tarot, which is very based on this deck, and that's kind of my go-to, that and Ethereal Visions. So there's a lot of significance behind the imagery that the artist, if I remember, yeah, Pamela Smith was the original person that did these, and she did a fantastic job. It's just I was looking for something that was a bit more updated, and I'm looking for the right word, diverse. So they're definitely not bad. There is some mild nudity. I've always liked the Lover's card. because like it's got the sorry, I should probably it's I was raised as a Christian, so this imagery means a little bit, I don't want to say more to me than it might, a non-Christian, but the original humans and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Oh, sorry, that's that one. The tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of eternal life. And, this would be before sin entered the world. So I feel like I get a lot more associations with this card. These creatures have always kind of baffled me. They're very interesting. So as you can see, if you've seen some of my other tarot reviews, we've got a lot of very similar images and ideas, archetypes of characters. And even like down to some of what the other characters are doing. Here's one of my favorite cards, the Temperance card. Judgment. So I see a lot of Christian ideas, imagery, judgment, and the angels blowing the horn. And it makes sense because this was like the first, I don't want to say the first tarot deck, but Pamela Smith and Rider Waite worked together on this deck, and it's kind of what brought tarot to the mainstream with these fantastic images. People would use standard playing cards at one time, and you can still see Lenormand cards up in the corner. Sometimes it will have like 5 of clubs or whatever, and then the image. And so once these images were added, it made it a lot easier for people. And then even in this world card, with angel mythology, for example, there's these cherubim that have 4 heads. And these heads are on this card. So it's the human, the eagle, the lion, and I forget if it's like an ox, or I'm trying to think if it's been a long time since I've read. So for the time frame that these cards were originally illustrated, it makes sense that there's such a Christian flavor in the cards. I'll just go through these fast, because if you've seen any tarot, or if you look at any other tarot videos, you are going to see a lot. Yeah, okay, I didn't skip any. A lot of commonalities. And so this is actually something I purposely look for now when I'm looking for a new deck. I want it to be different, yes. But as I'm learning more about this part of tarot, it's making it easier for me to adapt to a brand new deck. I can read it easier. I understand, what the 8 of Wands generally is, even if I don't remember exactly. But if I used a different system, I would basically have to relearn. And that can be quite the task, right? So I prefer to just kind of stay within a small set. Like I just started, I shouldn't even say started, but I do have a Lenormand deck that I intend on studying at some point. it's been difficult lately to kind of balance my interests and what I want to study with work, family, life. So this one, for example, with that Christian imagery, this looks like to me that it's referencing communion. We've got the little cracker and the goblet. In some churches, we still share. I shouldn't say we because I'm not a Christian, but in churches and they're doing communion, sometimes they probably don't now since the world-changing event that we went through 2 years ago. But they used to pass the goblet around and everybody would drink out of the same cup. Gross. But we've got the little communion wafer and the dove, which, the dove and God are very kind of interlinked. It's interesting because for the longest time after I left Christianity, I completely avoided it. It would cause a little bit of panic. Like I had a lot of religious trauma. And now I can look at it and interact with it, but in a different way that feels safer. It doesn't feel, I don't feel suffocated by it anymore. And that's kind of thanks to some shadow work that I've been able to do using witchcraft, like just kind of rethinking what I had been brought up as and those lasting effects. And I feel like I can engage with Christianity in a different way, in a safer way. Queen, she got, oh, it's little angels on the, I never noticed that before until I was looking at it through the viewfinder there. One thing I really do like about the Rider Waite, and that I've complained about other decks that are kind of spun from the same cloth, is sometimes you have to go looking for the number, the suit. Like you have to sit there and kind of count the little swords sometimes. And when it's something like 3 or 4, it's not too bad. But when it's like 8, that's not something I want to be doing in a read. I'm just trying to read for somebody, not sit there and count. And if you're anything like me, you'll get anxious and then you'll lose count and then you have to do it again. And it's this feedback loop. But now, I do know Roman numerals. It does take me a second, but it's not as long as counting them. So the imagery is very clear. We understand what's happening. The vibrant colors does help things to stand out. Like some cards are really, really hard to read. And I'll show you guys. I'm sure I'll find a deck at some point that would show that. There's something kind of nostalgic about them too. It's kind of like something you would see in the papers, this type of drawing way back. I don't know if they still do them. I haven't picked up a newspaper or even looked at a newspaper in I don't know how long. Oops. They're almost done. That's out of order. Rude. There we go. Fixed it. They're out of order. Oh, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. And that is the Rider Waite. So I don't know if I can find the exact deck I bought, but I'll make sure to leave an Amazon link. I am not affiliated, of course. But if you're interested, you can buy your very own first deck. You do not need to receive it as a gift from somebody else. Can you imagine? Like I did, that was something I believed in that we needed. That is a huge barrier to getting started, honestly, especially if you're in an area where you cannot be out, where you cannot receive such a gift from somebody. And especially if you're in a spot where I grew up, you couldn't even have a deck of playing cards because it was gambling and evil, right? So finding something especially cheap, this was before taxes, before shipping, if I remember right, $20 Canadian. So if you're American, it's probably not going to cost as much because our taxes are like 15%, I think. I don't know. It fluctuates. I don't even know. And it depends on the province, but it's decently affordable and it's a great learning deck for getting started. Once you learn this deck, a lot of decks open up to you very easily, and that's why it would be one of my top recommended. Now, if you do some research, if this deck does not sing to you, which it should, like if you're going to spend money on something, I want you to feel like you love it. Like if you're going to dread working with a deck, don't buy it. Do some research, look for styles that you like, and then purchase. Like it's so great now that there's so many channels now that will do deck reviews. They'll give you their thoughts. You can look through the whole deck with the creator and see if it's for you, especially when it's your very first deck. It's kind of scary, isn't it? And it doesn't need to be. Like this has been such a cool journey for me to be on. I've done a ton of healing just with this type of stuff. And so it's something I really recommend for others. But yeah, that's the Rider Waite tarot deck. This was a certain edition. Try to find it as close to this exact one. You can get different variations of like this exact art, but like it's in holographics, it's in wild colors, you know. So I'll make sure to link that. I want to thank you guys for sticking around and for, I've been getting a lot of new subscribers. It's been really cool and kind of wild and unbelievable. And I'm excited to share some other stuff. I've been working on some other videos, spell work stuff, story times involving spell work. So I hope you guys will stick around for that. And I cannot wait to see you next time. Thanks again. I've been your local art witch. See you.